Hello everyone, I'm Joe Ackourey, and welcome to the Fly of the Week. For this episode, episode 61, I'll be tying a Grannom caddis larva pattern. You see, Grannoms are case builders, and they build their cases out of woody debris found on a stream bottom. So they carry these cases around with them, making them easy pickings for the trout. So I would definitely add this one to your arsenal. I'm going to show you how to build the case or tie the case, and also the caddis larva peeking out of the case. It's a widely used pattern, but it really works well. So, without further ado, let's get started. All right, guys, here we go. The Cased Caddis Grannom larva. Place your hook in the vise, making sure that the shank of the hook is relatively level with the tabletop, and begin to cover the entire shank of the hook with thread. I always like to start out with covering the shank of the hook on most of my flies so that the materials that are placed on top of the shank of the hook have something to bite into instead of just a bare shank. Okay, once I find that sweet spot where the shank and the bend meet, I'm going to return my thread up to about a good 1/8 of an inch before the eye of the hook. I don't want to crowd the eye. And to get this fly to sink quick, I'm going to add some lead wire to it. I'm going to place a piece on each side of the shank of the hook. I'm going to stop a little short. I always bend my lead off instead of cutting it off. And then I'm going to repeat the process on the other side, my side. And then bend it off. Bending it off gives it a nice taper so that you don't have a sharp edge, so that when you're wrapping it, you reduce the possibility of cutting your thread. So right now, so far, we have something that looks like that, a little strip of lead on each side of the shank of the hook. Now, I'm going to place a piece of wire on top and exaggerate the length almost back to the end of the shank. And basically what I'm doing here is not only giving it some weight so that it sinks quicker and bouncing off the bottom. That's where I want these nymphs, these larvas. It also helps to sort of give it the shape that I'm looking for, because the Grannom case has 4 sides to it, and it's tapered. It looks like a rectangular box, but tapered. It starts out skinnier in the back end by the bend here, and gradually builds up in taper. But it's definitely a 4-sided case, and this will kind of help give me that shape. So, yeah. So it serves as a dual purpose. So now the case for this caddis is going to be made out of hackle. Actually, I take 3 hackles. I'm taking a dark dun, a black, and a Rhode Island red. And I'm going to strip the fuzz off the bottom of the hackles, each one separately. So we end up with something like that for each hackle. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to imitate the actual colors of these cases. I mean, they come in a variety of colors, but most of them are quite dark. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to mate all these together, or marry these together. Doesn't matter what, which color comes first. Just make sure that you get all the stems lined up where the hackle fibers meet the stems. And you're going to tie them in together with the curve going down and over. Just trying to keep all these together. There we go. Okay. Tie them in at the back where the shank and the bend meet. Make sure you get them anchored pretty good. You can clip off the excess. And you want to stop about a good quarter of an inch away from the eye. Stop right there. That's how long our case is going to be. And all we're going to do is take this hackle and slowly wrap it around the shank of the hook. Like so. A little bit more. There we go. These hackles are quite long, so at least this one is, and I don't need a hackle pliers for this particular hackle. So that was the Rhode Island Red. Looks pretty good. Now I'm going to take the dark dun and blend it in, fill in any gaps. I think I'm going to grab a hackle plier on this one. There we go. And just kind of weave it in there. Starting to fill in nicely. And what I'm trying to do is capture all the different colors that I see with these Grannom cases. And it'll be pretty evident when I start clipping this thing. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, looks good. And finally, the black. Just getting jiggy with it here so I don't mat down any of the hackle fibers from the previous two feathers. Okay, I'm going to just make it. Oop. There we go. Now, torque down a little bit too hard on that one. Clip off the excess. Let me reorient the hook. There we go. Now, lock that in. So, like I was telling you earlier, these are four-sided cases, and you need to clip it as such. So, I'm gonna, and they're tapered. So, carefully clip off, starting from the back, working your way up to the front, just giving it a crew cut. That's the one side. Now, the side closest to you. Again, there's a little taper there. It's not going to be absolutely perfect, but we're trying our best here. The side closest to me. You want them just to represent the natural as close as you can. And now for the bottom. Just don't clip that thread, that black hanging down. Okay. It's ugly looking right now, but we'll clean it up once we get closer to finishing it. All right, so there's our case, so to speak. Let me rotate the vise a little bit. There we go. Got a couple wild ones there. Again, this is just a rough cut. We'll clean it up a little bit later. So there's the case, guys. Looks pretty good, I think. Yeah, there you go. You can see the browns, the grays, and the blacks in there. It looks, I think it looks really good, actually. There we go. So now, let's form a little foundation of thread here. The next part is the actual larva peeking out. And I took the liberty of blending up some caddis green color, Grannom green. And I'm just going to use a little bit of this, and we're going to imitate the abdomen of the larva by just dubbing a nice generous amount, like so. We probably won't use all of this. go. And I want to just carefully, I don't want to make the abdomen bigger than the case, because this larva is living inside the case. So I want to be really careful about that. There we go. I'm going to stop right there. Just enough to give it a little hint of it peeking out of the case, like so. Great. So, that being said, the next step is to build the thorax. And the thorax will comprise of some black hackle or dark dun. And we're going to strip off the downy fuzz first with a natural curve going back over the fly. Tie that in right up against the abdomen. The abdomen being the green part of the fly. And now we got the hackle in for the legs, tied in for the legs. We'll wrap it after we start building the thorax. So in review, we have our case, our abdomen, our hackle that's going to be used to wrap through the thorax, which we're going to build in a second. I'm going to use some black fur blend for the thorax. I'm just going to dub a very small amount on there. And that's probably a little overkill there, but we'll see. So I'm going to wrap that tightly up against. Yeah, that's more than enough. Let me see on your end. Yeah, maybe just a, I do see a little divot in there. It's a simple tie, but pretty effective actually. Okay. Oh. Slid right off. Let's try that again, guys. There we go. And all I want to do is get 1 or 2 good wraps in there for the legs. I always grab my hackles perpendicular to the stem with my hackle pliers and just carefully get 1, 2 wraps in, tie it off. Clip off your excess. Build a little foundation for your tie-off point, for your knot. Tie your knot. Okay. Now to clean this fly up, we're going to take and clip off all the hackle fibers on top of the thorax, and we're going to flip it around and clean up the bottom just a little bit. And then I like to give the legs a little curl with my scissors, just a little. Looks a little bit more realistic, at least from a human perspective. So now, final touch is just coating the finishing knot with your glue. So there you go, guys. A Grannom Cased Caddis peeking out of the case. It's a really good fly. Works well. Make sure you fish it on the bottom. Bounce it off the bottom. Typically, these caddis larvae will start getting active, and what they do is they, just prior to emergence, they'll go inside their little case here. They'll tuck in and seal themselves in the case, and the metamorphosis will take place, and they'll be forming their, their wings and so forth. And just when they're ready to emerge, they pop out of the case and they start to emerge. It's at least on my streams, the hatches are pretty heavy here in Northeast PA of the Grannom, and they typically start hatching around the 3rd week of April, lasting into first week of May. But yeah, I definitely would add this larva imitation to your arsenal. It works quite well, but make sure you fish it on the bottom. Thank you for joining me in this episode of the Fly of the Week. And if you like my content that I've been pushing out, please subscribe to our channel. Tight lines, guys.